Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Middle Age Gaming Podcast. We are so glad to have you here. Today, we are going to be talking about games we are playing. Our topic is two mid-tier headsets that you can see Adam and I wearing right now, and we're also going to talk about news, the news that has sort of excited us this week, kept us thinking or talking about things, and so, a quick PSA before I hand things over to Adam. We were supposed to start at 10:30 a.m. Taipei time or 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in America today. Except we had loads of issues. The good news is I have finally got NDI working. If you are a new podcaster, NDI allows you to sort of capture windows, so that works. And we should be streaming to 3 platforms today. If we are not, I apologize. Who knows? Hopefully this is working. We're trying Restream.io today, so we're streaming to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And anyway, Adam had a good idea. So if anybody is listening or watching and you have ideas about streaming and podcasting, please contact us. You should see our website, and it has our email or Facebook. Any way you want to contact us, we'd be glad to sort of help this process become much easier. Adam?
Okay, so we're going to start off with games that we've been playing this week. So I have actually gone back to Final Fantasy 14. I've been meaning to get back ever since the latest update, but unfortunately, because I've been playing other things, I'm a completionist. I wanted to finish all those before I finally went back in. So Final Fantasy 14 is actually quite an old game. It originally came out back in 2010, so it's a 10-year-old game at this point. It's an MMO, that's why it's been so viable for so long. But the original release was supposedly quite awful, to the point where basically they had. That's why if you do know, Final Fantasy 14 is now called Final Fantasy 14: A Realm Reborn, because they basically completely overhauled the entire game and basically reset everything starting from scratch. And that was in 2013. So it's been in that current iteration since 2013, and it's been quite successful. So occasionally you'll see games compared to it. For example, Anthem came out recently and it did not do so well, and now they're going to do Anthem 2.0. And so some people have been referring to it as getting the Realm Reborn treatment. So apparently this not quite a meme, but definitely a cultural thing now that to restart these games after they've failed. So the most recent expansion is Shadowbringers. It came out in 2020, July 2nd, so it is actually still quite new. This is the third patch, or the third content edition that they've added onto it. So normally what they would do is they'll release an expansion and then they'll have content patches throughout until the next expansion. So we are in we're in the patch 3. And the way that Final Fantasy 14 typically does their content is you'll get the expansion, get a huge chunk of story, and then they'll do usually 3 patches, which will basically close out or finish up or give closure to the story that was in the expansion. And then the next 3 patches are going to be leading up into the new expansion. So this is the one that's supposed to kind of bring the whole Shadowbringers story together. And moving forward, we're going to start seeing what direction the game is going to be moving on with this next expansion. So this is a very interesting kind of MMO. So when we think of an MMO, a lot of people think of games like WoW or I want to say Ultima Online, but I don't even know if that's even a thing anymore. Elder Scrolls Online is the one I'm thinking of. And so a lot of people think of like that, you're a guy, you're in the world, and you just kind of explore and do all that sort of thing. Well, Final Fantasy 14, if you know Final Fantasy, it's a JRPG series, and so because of that, it's very story heavy. And Final Fantasy 14 kind of blends that with the MMO genre. So in a way, I've talked to my friends about this, and I've said that Final Fantasy 14 story is one of my favorite stories in a Final Fantasy for a long time. So in a way, it's really weird. It's kind of designed, it's an MMO designed in the spirit of a single-player JRPG. So what you really do is they have a very strict, they call it the MSQ, the main story quest, that follows all these characters. You have a huge cast. There's lots of political intrigue and things going on. And if you are a solo player who loves Final Fantasy, you could play this as a solo game and basically ignore most of the MMO aspects of it and have a lot of fun. Uh, Now, that said, you would have to pay a subscription for it. So this is a subscription-based MMO. It's not free to play in the sense that Elder Scrolls Online or Black Desert or Terra or any of those games are. You do have to pay a monthly subscription, but personally, I feel it's very worth it because they do give you a lot of content, and it's really high quality content as well. But the downside to that is if you are looking for that more traditional kind of world exploring MMO experience that you would have in, say, something like WoW, it's a lot harder to come by. My friends and I got into it because us living here in Taiwan, there was some difficulty for me trying to reactivate my American WoW account. So we were trying to look for games that we could play online together. So we had tried with Elder Scrolls Online, and we did League of Legends and all these other things. And back then, Final Fantasy 14 would allow a free trial up to level 35. So we thought, you know what, let's just go ahead. It's free. We don't have to pay for a dime. Let's just try it out, see how it goes. And I really had a lot of fun with it, but I had one friend who really likes WoW, and for him, it was a little bit irritating because in WoW, you level your character up, and once you reach a certain level, you basically level out of a zone. So you can just move into the next area. You can drop all your quests, pick up new quests, and just you can kind of go wherever you want. But in Final Fantasy 14, it's very story driven. So if you want to move on to the next zone, you have to progress the story to the point where it would make sense for you to go there. And because of that, for him, it was a little bit irritating because he felt like there was a certain time investment in it. The other problem is something like WoW, you can go in with your friends, you can all basically sync up your quests together, and you can go questing together. In Final Fantasy 14, since most of the questing you're going to be doing, they have small side quests, but most of the quests you're going to be doing are going to be either story related or dungeon related, because a lot of them are very story heavy with lots of conversation. You couldn't have a guy out in the field while the other guy goes back and talks to people because you'd have no idea what the story was. So a lot of times, if you want to progress in the story, there will be times where it actually tells you need to disband your party so that you can go watch this cutscene, and then you'd have to go back into your party. So if you're the kind of person who only plays socially, it's probably not the best game for you. If you're the kind of person who really loves MMOs, loves to play socially, but also likes to kind of go in on your own time, then, like myself, then this is a great game because when you're alone, you have the story, you can play it in the same way that you could play a single-player game for the most part. But when your friends come on, then you can do dungeon crawling together, you can do special events, you can do Palace of the Dead, all these sorts of things. So I'd really recommend it for kind of a casual MMO, not so much a casual MMO player, but the kind of MMO player who doesn't just play socially. They play for themselves as well. I think that this is a really, really great investment. So another thing that I really like about it is in WoW, you pick your character, you pick your class, and then you level up. If you want to try another class, you have to create an entirely new character, start from scratch. And I know they've added things like the artifact armor, I think they call it, where if you have a character who's leveled up to a certain point, if you get another character, you can basically grab this armor and you can level that second character up much, much faster because you're a lower level than what your maximum artifact armor is. In Final Fantasy 14, however, the way that they address this is that your characters can change classes at any time, basically, as long as you're not in combat. So it'll just figure out whatever your highest level is, and any class that is below your maximum level is going to get an experience bonus, so you can level up your other classes faster. But on the bright side, that means if you are playing as a tank and you want to switch over to DPS or healer, it's just as quick as a button press, boom, you're that other class. You can continue on as opposed to WoW, where you'd have to log out of that character, log into another character, find your friends. So I think that's very, very convenient. Now, another thing that my friend didn't like about it was he's really big into customization. He loves tech trees. He loves that kind of like, oh, I get 5% extra crit, or I get 2% life steal. He really likes that sort of customization. So in vanilla, WoW, we played back in vanilla. Uh, they had the tech trees, and it was, he really loved it. Now, obviously, in an MMO, when you get to raid level, people are optimizing, and that really severely limits your options in terms of what tech or what you're building your character as, because there are meta builds or optimal builds. So in a way, you can't really customize as much as you really want to. If casually you can, but if you really want to be at the highest level, you can't really do that. Now, Final Fantasy 14 just said, we're going to do away with that. There's no tech trees. There's really no customization other than your character's appearance. So the way that you really play the way you want to play is you select the class you want to play as. So, for example, if you want a DPS, you could be a black mage, which is a caster, or you could be a red mage, which is another kind of caster, or a summoner, who's another kind of caster. So these are all caster classes. They all do magic, but they all do it in slightly different ways. So if you want slightly different gameplay, you would switch between the classes. There's no customization of, I have slightly more crit or anything like that. Now, you can equip things they call materia. You can equip materia on your gear that will give you slight bonuses to stats. So you could, increase your spell speed a little bit faster. So you're a little bit faster at casting. Or you could increase your crit damage by a slight amount. So there is a slight amount of customization in what materia you put on your gear. But for the most part, you're not going to need it. I have done the highest level rating content, with the exception of they have a special kind of boss fight where it's literally just one boss. You just fight that one boss. I've done some of those in the past. I haven't done any of the current ones, and I've done it without ever equipping material. So it's entirely doable. But basically, I think it also works really, really well because it means that they can balance the classes much more easily. Because if you can just say, well, this is a warrior. Let's just fix what we need to fix about the warrior. Not, this is a warrior. We have to fix all the trees. We have to fix all these customization options because this one is obviously dominant, so we have to tweak everything to do that. So they have a lot of, if you look at it compared to something like WoW, they actually have more base classes than WoW. However, in WoW, because each class has 3 specializations, there are more of those than there are here. So I would highly recommend this for somebody who really enjoys story-driven games, but they also want that kind of companionship. They want a social aspect to it. The kind of people who play Skyrim but want to play Skyrim co-op, that sort of thing. Works really, really well. You go into a dungeon, you have other people helping you out. So that's what I'd recommend it for. And yeah, right now they're doing an event. So yesterday I did some streaming of grinding for that. So you can go ahead and check that out and see if it's for you. And
What
I do
channel?
ramble a bit. So that's my channel. I think it's just called Lottie Size. So LAHDSAI. But if you go to our channel, Middle Age Gaming, obviously, on Twitch, you will see it under the recommended thing. So just go ahead to Middle Age Gaming, look at the recommended, channels. Koreans is there, mine is there, so you can go ahead and check that out, and then hopefully I'll be able to export that video over later. So what about you? What are you currently playing?
Uh, a quick question. We talked about this
Yeah,
before,
sure.
so
I love this game, so I'm willing to answer any
yeah,
questions you
I
have.
watched Adam's stream for 2.5 hours, and I've streamed before. Because Twitch deletes videos after 2 weeks now, so you guys won't see any of my old videos. I used to stream a lot of Hearthstone. This past weekend, I streamed Slay the Spire, But I have a feeling starting this week, I'm going to start streaming once a week on Saturdays, probably regularly, and I'm going to stream my road to Legend in Hearthstone. I've always wanted to do it, but uh, that's besides the point. So what I've been playing recently is I was playing Bioshock Remastered yesterday, and I hadn't played in quite a while, at least 2 weeks. Um, and I was at this point where I was like, the first time you have to fight a Big Daddy. And if you don't know what a Big Daddy is in Bioshock, it's like these big sort of mechanical, lumbering people. They protect these things that look like little girls, but they are like sort of ghostly little girls.
Little
Uh,
sisters.
yes, little sisters, exactly is the right terminology. And I was playing it and I was like, oh, cool, cool. And it was like, you have to. And then I was like, actually, I don't want to fight this guy because I tried it like 4 or 5 times and I kept on dying like every time. I'm like, okay, let me try and leave this level. And then as I was about to leave the level, they said, by the way, you should really do this. Otherwise, you won't be strong enough. I'm like, man, this game's already hard enough. So I tried it again and then again and again, and then I'm like, okay, fine. Eventually did it. I spent a lot of my resources. I got on to the next level, and the next level, lo and behold, another Big Daddy. And I'm like, hmm. And I don't know if I've ever told Adam this, but I've told some of my brothers, like, I really, because I don't play games a lot. I should say, maybe some people would consider an hour each day a lot, but I play an hour each day, and that's the maximum amount of time. And in that time, I really want to sort of enjoy myself or get some sort of feeling of accomplishment or feel relaxed or feel interested or something. I hate feeling frustrated when I play games. With the emphasis
I could
on
relate.
hate. Yes, yes. So, Adam knows what I probably did. I was like, okay, Bioshock Remastered. I followed you under my Steam list of games too hard. And I played Cat Quest, which is what I've been playing on my Switch for the last. Jesus, how long have I been playing that? At least 2 weeks. I'm like level 16. Cat Quest is a game that was released in 2017. It's the art style is very similar to a game I played a while ago called Crashlands, which is like a survival game where you crash land on this alien planet and you have to survive, and it's sort of like a very basic story. The cool thing I like about it is it's very easy. I get to lie on my bed, do the whole proverbial. You guys can see if you're on podcast, you can't see this, but on Twitch you can see. Sort of you're lying on your bed and you just do that, and it's like for me it's like an easy way to fall asleep. Um, Basically, you're a cat. It's sort of like an RPG. You get quests, you get experience, you get weapons, armor, but it's very, very basic, very casual. I can't believe I'm saying that I'm a casual gamer. But yeah, it's definitely for somebody very similar to me who wants an easy game. There's still some challenge. Uh, wow, we just got our first spam chat message on Twitch.
Fascinating.
It says, want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and views, and bigfollows.com. And we are not going to do that, of course. So yeah, Cat Quest, if you're a casual gamer, definitely the kind of thing for you. I got it on sale for like $60 or how much is that? $2? 2 or 3 US dollars? $2. Really cool. There's a Cat Quest 2 which is out. The number 2, of course, is not on sale, but it's definitely easygoing. Still some challenge for people like me. Probably Adam would definitely find it too easy for him.
I don't know about that. I like easy stuff.
Oh, okay. There you go. Um, and so, Adam, cause we're running a bit behind on time. So
Yeah, I went along there. Sorry.
no worries.
Entirely my fault.
Oh, jeez, I didn't get to ask you my question about
No, you
Final
didn't. I was
Fantasy.
wondering about that.
Okay, a quick question because so you guys will know Adam and I
Quick
are a
answer.
bit different when it comes to gaming. I've played MMOs, but I hate combat-heavy MMOs. So the last time I played an MMO was Arcade, and I loved farming. I loved growing stuff and selling stuff, sort of like an economic simulation. And I asked Adam this before. Um, So in Final Fantasy 14, is there an option for me just to be that sort of farmer or blacksmith or the just do like an economic side of Final Fantasy without going out and killing stuff and doing raids, and could I do that and feel satisfied?
Okay, so in a way, yes, you could, but you'd kind of have to cheat. So there is definitely crafting, and actually, I really like the crafting in Final Fantasy 14 because it is kind of its own little mini game. So it is a little more in depth than most crafting systems that I've seen. And you could definitely go out and do the farming and stuff. Now, the problem is because zones will be locked out due to the main story quest, you would have to progress forward in the story to get them.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, so you would have to do at least some level of addressing all the bosses, going through all the dungeons. Now, if you had a friend, you can go through that pretty quickly because you can do all the dungeons what they call unsynced, where basically you run through the dungeon and you are at whatever level you are, not the level of the dungeon. So, I could run you through a level 10 dungeon at level 80, and we clear it really, really quick. However, for certain story quests, you are required to have a minimum level. So you would
Okay.
have to level up one of your combat classes to the point where you could access those parts of the story and then through that access parts of the map. So you could do it by buying. They do offer, on the store you can buy like a level jump, which just brings your character. I don't know if it's up to max level or up to 10 levels below max level. So you could purchase that, but yeah, it wouldn't. Not just you couldn't just get in and just do the crafting. You could do the crafting if you have somebody sending you supplies,
Okay.
but the farming stuff, no.
Okay. Cool. Thank you for that. So Adam, what are we talking about today?
Today we will be talking about headsets. We have each bought a new headset. Hopefully, you, our audience, have noticed a difference in our sound quality. And so we are going to be talking about what we used before, what we're using now, and basically what we think about it. So I guess I'll start off then.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to keep this relatively short compared to my last one. Sorry, I went on. You can see why I talked for 2.5 hours straight through my entire stream. If you know me, that's not surprising, but for people that don't know. So anyway, I have the Master Cooler. Oh no, you can't see it. Oh
Yes. No, we
no.
can. It's all gone by
Oh, man.
Just show us the headset is okay.
Okay. This is the Master Cooler MH630. Okay. So this is a mid-level price range, at least, headset. And, because we were talking about it, you were showing me some reviews you saw, you sent me a video, and you said, listen to the sound quality of these and see which one you like. And for me, I'm not an audiophile, so I usually don't notice a huge difference in the audio. But when I was listening to this video, I was writing down things, and after watching the video, I sent Korean a text immediately, and I said, Master Cooler MH630, hands down, by a mile. This is clearly the best one. So I noticed a massive difference in the sound of the microphone, at least. I mean, obviously I couldn't test the sound, but the microphone, I noticed a huge difference over the other options. So I wrote that down, and then at the end of the review, the guy even said, this is actually the mid-priced one. It's cheaper. It's like, what, $60 US, give or take. So I was like, whoa, that's great. These are the mid-range things. So I ordered them, and I've gotten them. I received them last Friday, so I've been using them for, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So about 4 or 5 days. I did read on the reviews. They said that actually they are not good for PlayStation. I read that actually after I had bought them. However, the problem they said was the audio was a little bit quiet. Now, once I got into the PlayStation, you can actually change your audio settings. So in the PlayStation itself, you can change your headphones volume. So once I knocked that up to about 75%, then my audio was fine. So on the average default PlayStation settings, they will sound quiet. Even today, when I plugged them in and was listening to Korean, I had to turn up the volume. My volume on the computer is usually set to around 25 to 30. I have it right now set up to 70. So the volume is maybe a little bit quieter than most headphones. However, if you turn up the volume on whatever device you have, and there is a little knob on the back here to control volume, you should be okay. Um, so yeah, so now some other features that I really really like. You can't see it here, but there's a cable that plugs into the headphones. There's actually you plug that in and you twist it and it locks in place. So I can pull on this wire here and they're not going to come out of place. So that I think that's a really really great benefit, especially for me. I have cats and they just yank everything out if they can. So for me, this is a huge huge boon right there. The other thing that's really good is this microphone here is actually detachable. I haven't tested it yet, but I am pretty sure that I could take this out and just pop it in to the mic spot on my computer. And if I didn't need to use headphones, I could just use that as a default mic. So, like for example, if I was trying to Skype my family or something like that, I could still use it. So I think that's actually kind of a nice little feature. Not necessary, but it's kind of a cool feature. Other than that, they're actually really comfortable. Last week I was using my old PlayStation Golds. Uh, these are from when I bought my PS4, so they are super super old. The battery does not work very well on them. Uh, the audio is great, but if you were listening to my audio the listening's great, but if you were listening to my mic last week, that's what they would sound like compared to what I'm using today. Um, One thing I liked about the PlayStation Golds was that the earphones were kind of cupped in the sense that your ears kind of slid into them. But even then, I could only wear them for maybe half an hour or so, and they would start to get uncomfortable. These I wore for 2.5 hours yesterday, and I was fine. So yeah, they're quite comfortable. I would highly recommend these if you are going for kind of a mid-range headset. Not something super professional, but you just want to sound nice and you want things to sound nice to you. So that again probably went on a little bit longer than I needed it to be.
Not at all.
But yeah, so that's my recommendation right there. So I would definitely recommend them. And for their price, they are fantastic. So yeah.
Yeah,
What about you, Korean? What are you listening to?
oh, I just have to I have to concur. So Adam mentioned he streamed yesterday, and I've heard him stream with his PlayStation headset, and I heard him stream yesterday with this headset, and I was listening to Adam stream on my Galaxy S20, which has, I mean, it's a 5G modern, high tier phone, and Adam's sound was like literally night and day between the PlayStation headset and this headset over here. Um, so I went with the Razer released some headphones. They're called the Black Shark. They released the V2 and the V2X. The V2 is sort of like $30 more expensive than the V2X. On literally less than 2 months ago, July 30th, 2020. I was using, which you guys heard on episode 1 and episode 2, the SteelSeries 7 Arctis Pro Wireless, which was an expensive head, my first ever expensive headset. But I was chatting to Adam about that, and the one thing with that headset is that it is. Uh, I bought it and I was really happy with the quality, but the one thing is I have a pretty big head, and the clamping force of those headphones was just terrible. Like I play games with a friend of mine that Adam knows, and my brothers on the weekends. And after an hour of gaming, like my head, just like the top of my skull, physically hurts. But with these headset, I mean, it really feels comfortable. If you looking at our Twitch video, you can actually see there's a nice sort of soft pad on top, and for people who have big heads, that it feels really comfortable. If you have big ears as well, I can show you. Uh, this actually covers my ears. There's sort of like a cylinder, and your ears go inside, and it has like a sort of a secondary layer which covers your ears, so it tries to insulate the sound really well. One thing I wish when Adam said that I felt even more jealous is I wish this mic was detachable. The V2 is detachable, so if you wanted to pay the extra 30 US dollars or 1,000 Taiwanese dollars, that could be detachable, because this is kind of irritating. Like if I wanted to use these headphones for my Switch, I mean, this would literally always be sitting there. I could put it down like this, and depends for you. But I mean, I love a lot of stuff. This is really comfortable. I could easily see myself wearing this for a long time. I love bright colors, so I love this green cable over here. It has this bright green cable, and it's extremely long. So if you have your PC quite far away from where your monitor is, it would definitely work. Um, the sound itself is good. This actually supports Razer's sort of uh, exclusive, not really. I guess it is exclusive 7.1 virtual surround sound software. So I have a code for it over here. You can see that over here, or you can see that because of the camera software. But so it comes with virtual 7.1 surround sound. I haven't tested it. Yesterday I played Bioshock, pretty cool for like an FPS game. Watching TV shows, listening to music. I've done all of that, all really, really good, clear sound, no distortion. Like Adam's headset, I have a physical wheel that's very tactile. If you can go up and down to sort of increase, decrease the volume. The mic has a pop filter, which is what I like. So pop filters stop you from saying the sound all the time, which is pretty good. So it's really good. I mean, as far as podcasting goes, I haven't told Adam yet, but I'm still thinking about getting a regular USB mic just to give it a go and see how the difference goes. Because come to Black Friday online, I mean, Amazon's going to have it, so I might try to go with the high-end Blue Yeti mic. But this definitely, if you're looking, I mean, I paid almost 2,000 Taiwanese dollars, so that's 60 US as well, very similar to Adam's headset. If you're looking for a Razer, it does not have sort of like the Razer logo very clearly visible, but a sort of low profile, decently priced headset. And if you're a Razer fan, I definitely recommend it because it sort of works together with your keyboard, with your mouse, so it all integrates into the sort of Razer ecosystem. Uh, so Adam, what are we talking about in terms of news?
Okay, so I got a little bit of news. Uh, Hopefully this will be short again. So recently, last week, the Microsoft came out and people had been had been saying rumors about the Xbox pricing and a thing called the Xbox Series S. Now we all know about the Xbox Series X, but there was rumors about something called an Xbox Series S as well. And so last week they came out with a tweet and they're like, you know what? Fine, it's out in the open. We admit it. It's a thing. And so they announced that the price of the Xbox Series S is going to be $299 US. Subsequently, they have announced that the Series X is going to be $499. So basically $500 and $300 respectively. Now, for people that are wondering, okay, well, what's the Series S? What's the Series S and what is it compared to the Series X? Well, it's basically a Xbox Series X Lite. So this is kind of an interesting thing because in the previous console generations, they recently released a console and then they released a later one, such as the PS2 Slim and the PS3 Slim, or the Xbox One S. They basically would release a scaled down version of it, but it's functionally the same. And then in this previous generation, we had the mid-cycle upgrades, which were the PlayStation Pro and the Xbox One X. So now Microsoft's kind of doing this new thing where they have their flagship model, but they're actually offering a pared down model at a cheaper price. So it is $200 cheaper, no, $300 cheaper, $200 cheaper. It is $200 cheaper, but it is actually less than the X. So for example, the Xbox Series X is, they keep touting the fact that it's going to be having 12 teraflops. The Series S is only going to have 4. So it is actually a smaller X. It's weaker as well. Another thing is, for example, the RAM is going to be lower. And while the Xbox Series X is going to have native 4K, 60 frames per second, and up to 120 frames per second at a time, the Xbox Series S is only going to do 1440 at 60 frames per second, up to 120. So it's not going to be doing that 4K that the Xbox Series X is designed to do. It is also digital only, so it will not have a disk drive. And the other thing that's kind of interesting is that actually uh, a lot of the Xbox One games are getting upgrades when they move into the Xbox Series, the Series X. Sorry, I keep screwing myself up. So, for example, Cyberpunk is going to be releasing on the on the Xbox One, but there's going to be an upgraded version of Cyberpunk on the Series X. Now, the Series S is going to be an upgraded version from the Xbox One. However, it is not getting the Series X upgrade. They will be getting their own upgrades because they are not quite as capable as the X series. So it's kind of an interesting move on Microsoft's part. We haven't really seen something like this before. Now, a lot of people have talked about how Microsoft seems to be moving more into games as a service and less of a console manufacturer. So I guess in a way they're kind of moving like Sega did, where they used to make consoles, and now they're like, well, we're moving into just creating games. We're just going to be a studio. But in this case, they're doing games as a service with the Game Pass and that sort of thing, cloud-based gaming. So they seem to be moving away from that kind of model. And where people are saying, if you're thinking right now that the Series S, well, why is it weaker? Why would they release a weaker system? I think in their minds, they're thinking this is actually a good idea because as games move into streaming, that Stadia kind of thing where you can do true 4K gaming, the Xbox Series S doesn't need to be powerful. It just needs to be able to stream. And then all that power can be on the other end of that streaming, so then they're streaming it too. So I think that this kind of game, that the Xbox Series S, it's probably not going to be for the hardcore gamers. It's probably more for people that are more casual. They don't really care about 4K. 4K is not important. I think 1440 is good enough. It still looks great. I mean, a lot of people now are perfectly happy with 1080. So that sort of thing, and then maybe kind of a future-proofing thing where, in the future, if I'm going to be moving into streaming, this is kind of my options there. So it is kind of an interesting move by Microsoft, but it'll be interesting to see where they go with it. My other piece of news is that tomorrow there is going to be a PlayStation event. So hopefully we'll be getting the price on the new PS5. Currently, the rumors are saying that the regular PS5, the one with a disc, is going to be $499, which is going to compete with the Xbox Series X. And the discless version is going to be $399, so it is going to be priced between the Series S and the Series X. However, the difference in the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 5 models are that they are actually identical systems. It's just one comes with a disc drive and one does not. There's not a pared down version. They are identical in every way, with the exception of the disc drive. So hopefully we'll be able to get those prices tomorrow. They've already released the box content, so they've already released the things that you're going to find in the box, which is basically just going to be the PlayStation 5. It's going to come with its SSD, solid state drive. It's going to come with a controller and all the power cables, so that's all coming in the box. And the other thing that I am looking forward to that is slightly related to what we were talking about before, there's been a lot of speculation that it is possible that Final Fantasy 16 will be announced at tomorrow's event as a PlayStation timed exclusive. So that might be a possibility. I'm excited for it. If you're a JRPG fan, I think you'll be excited for it as well. So what about you, Korean? What's your news?
A quick question. So
Sure.
for tomorrow's event,
Yes.
what is something you're predicting or you're expecting? What is one prediction that you would like to make about tomorrow's event?
I am predicting the price. I think that there's been rumors around that the PlayStation was actually the lower model, or the discless model was going to be priced at $499, and the regular one was priced at $599. And then after the Xbox announcement, they decided to lower the price of both. I don't know if that's true, but my prediction is that the higher end PlayStation will be the same price as the Xbox Series X. As far as what else might be revealed, I am hoping that we can get some more information on the DualSense 5 just so that we can see kind of some of the haptic feedback and some of the things we can get. I was reading an article where it was a producer of horror games, and they were talking about the future of horror games and how the DualSense is really, really great because they were talking about something like, the way it jiggles, it feels like maybe there's a tingle in your right hand, so it feels like there's a spider crawling up your hand. Or there was another game, I can't remember what it's called. It's not Returnal, but it's another game. And they were talking about how they have a feature in this game that your guns can jam, and when they do, the trigger will lock to the point where you can actually not pull the trigger anymore. So giving that kind of realism, we've never seen that kind of feature in a game before, and it possibly because it would have felt awkward to be pulling this trigger and the gun's just not firing. You would think that's a glitch. Well, now you can physically feel something's wrong, and then tell your character to fix it or whatever. So I'm hoping to see more on this, the DualSense there. And also, I can't remember the name of it. There was a game, it's made by Square Enix, using the same engine as Final Fantasy 15. They revealed it on their last reveal when they were revealing all their games. I'm looking forward to that one. Can't remember what it is, but I remember it has something to do with summoning magic or something like that. So hopefully we'll get more information on some games. Because it looks like I said, Microsoft's model seems to be moving towards a games as a service model. PlayStation seems to really be battering down the hatches on this, exclusives, and really gameplay, because Xbox obviously is moving all their games over to PC. So I'm really hoping to see some new game footage and see what we're going to have.
Okay, thank you. So
No problem.
I was actually going to talk about something totally different, but after Adam talked about the Xbox Series X, I just saw some news when I woke up this morning. So Microsoft xCloud is launching tomorrow at the same time as PlayStation's event. So if you guys don't know, Microsoft xCloud is Microsoft's sort of streaming service for games at the moment. At the moment, we've got NVIDIA's GeForce, but that's only available in America. Microsoft's xCloud is available worldwide starting tomorrow for $15 a month. You have a catalog of 150 games, and you can stream them to your Android cell phone. You unfortunately cannot still stream them to the iPad, which would be great for me because I have an iPad Pro, which, if you don't know, is a 12.9-inch iPad, which would be great for playing some games and streaming them. But Apple, that was also, I guess, another part of the news. Apple changed their news recently regarding game streaming services. So in the future, Apple told Stadia, told Microsoft, we will allow your streaming service on our platform, but each game has to be individually submitted for streaming. And Microsoft and Google bothly told Apple, yeah, that's crazy. We're not going to do that. Because if you look at it for Netflix, Netflix has a whole bunch of movies, TV shows. They're not. Imagine if you had to individually submit every single Netflix TV show and movie to Apple. That would be crazy to find something on the App Store. And Microsoft is right. I've used to be an Xbox Game Pass user. I paid for it for quite a few months before my gaming backlog, listen to last week's episode, became too much. And the coolest thing about Game Pass is just you log in, you click on a game. For the regular Game Pass, not the streaming one, it installs. Sweet, you get to play. You get to play the whole game. There's no buts or ifs, or then there's no gate-locked content or gate-kept content. It's really, really cool. And so xCloud tomorrow, I don't know if I'll play stuff on my phone, but it's something I might consider at some point, depending on the catalog, if they increase the catalog. I mean, Netflix has probably hundreds, maybe not hundreds, maybe tens of thousands of movies and TV shows. If they get up there, I mean, that'd be something I would definitely consider, is just going into streaming. I mean, that goes back to also last week's topic of paying, $500 for a graphics card when you can just pay $15 a month and play all the games you want on all your devices without having to spend money on the hardware. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Microsoft does tomorrow, how expansive it is, what's the reviews of the service. If you're interested, just Google xCloud. from now on, I'll be adding a bunch of links to the stuff we talked about into our show notes. So, uh, unfortunately, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, we are not allowed to add links. So, what I'll do is I'll just suggest you guys go to our podcast website, have a look there. There'll be links there. But if you're listening on Google Podcasts or Spotify, click on the links. You can see about all the news stories, some of the hardware we've talked about. And thanks so much for listening, Adam.
Thank you all for coming. Hopefully, I didn't talk your ear off too much. So that's it for episode 3. Please join us at the same time next week. And if you guys have any advice on how we can get this streaming thing down a little bit better, we've been having trouble trying to get both of our video feeds at the same time. If you have any advice on something like that, please feel free to contact us and give us any kind of advice you have. So go ahead and look us up on any of your favorite podcast apps. We're on Google, we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify. Feel free to look us up, listen to this in your own free time. And thank you, Google, for finally adding us. So we're very thankful for that.
Very.
Yes. All right. So guess we'll see you all next week.
Yes, everyone have a good week,
All right.
and see you same time next week, Monday night, Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday morning, Taiwan time. All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.